All right. Hi, class of 2022. It's one of the counselors, Miss Sorrentino.
And I'm Miss Kagans, another one of the counselors. Welcome, future seniors of Rochester High School.
We're excited for you, and we just wanted to touch base and review from our junior meeting earlier in the school year. The school year has been a pretty long school year, and so we wanted to make sure we're touching base and that we are giving you pertinent info that you can be using this spring and summer to help you be ready for in the fall for after high school planning, like college apps and things like that. So for today's agenda, we're going to show you some more resources that you could use to learn more about yourself, you know, your personality, your interests, skills, values, and how that ties into potential pathways for after high school and beyond, how it ties into potential careers. We'll also go over the basics of how to apply to college, and then what you can be doing this spring and summer to be ready for the fall college admissions process. And then at the end, we'll leave time for questions. All right, so finding your pathway after high school, you know, everybody's going to have a unique pathway. And we want to encourage you guys to start with thinking about what you would like to do, what career you're interested in, and then work back from there to get to that career. What kind of training programs or college or licenses or whatever it may be do I need to have in order to be able to go into that career field? So things that you could do, you could maybe job shadow or interview some people that are in careers that seem interesting to you to get more info. You can always use Zello, which has lots of programs in it to help you with thinking more about future careers and the pathways to get there. And also we included another kind of like another resource to think about college and career planning, which is the College Board Big Future. Other resources we have listed, the Michigan Hot 50. So these are like the Hot 50 jobs, and you can read about what those are, what the outlook looks like for in Michigan, and the salary. And some of these other ones, it talked about skilled trades and how you can get into something like that, what kind of training and what kind of future salary and potential growth in that career field. And then we even have a little TV show, Road Trip Nation, where they go around and they interview and they show different careers that are out there. I really think that you guys want to investigate more about your personalities, your interests, your likes, and how that can tie into future jobs for you, and then work back from there. I had included a website here that has multiple different personality tests. And so one of them that I actually did, I took myself, it was the Holland Code Career Test. So it asked me a bunch of questions. And at the end, it kind of broke down into 6 different interest areas. And as you can see for me, when I took it, persuading was my top area. And then followed by creating and helping. So you can kind of see, it tells me more insight about myself and what's important to me. And then what the website does is it helps me to look more closely at that specific career interest area, the persuading. So it shows me what kind of job tasks that might be involved with that, my own core values, and then key personality traits. So again, it's helping me know more, gain more insight about myself, right? And then it takes it even further. It starts to show me sample jobs for persuaders. That just happen to be my top area. Career fields, so more general, and then areas of study, like how would I get into those career fields? And it even took it a little bit further. I didn't show it on the screen here, but it did take it a step further where it combined the multiple different areas. So like my top ones, which were persuader and creativity, and it gave me more specific careers to look at, and it included outlooks and salary, what you do, like a job description and what kind of training you might need. So I think these are all good. You have to take it with a grain of salt, but it helps to give you more knowledge, more insight into what's important to you, what you like to do, and how that can parlay into a future career for you. So speaking of, different characteristics, something that you want to think about is with going to college. We know not everyone's going to be going to college, but there will be a portion of our seniors applying in the fall. And this is going to be one of the biggest purchases you guys make in your lifetime, most likely, and especially as an 18-year-old senior. So, I want to encourage you guys to look at the programs, look at the schools that you're thinking about, and consider all the factors. These are just some of them, and every student is unique with what's the most important thing to them. But I want to encourage you to be the consumer and kind of flip it and think, why will this college or university, what about this place is good for me? Because each one of you are unique. So here was some examples up here to take into mind when you're thinking and looking and kind of rounding out your college list. Let's take it to the next step, which is, how do I apply to college? We did talk about this earlier in the school year, but gosh, that feels like a million years ago. I don't know about you, but that's how it feels to me. So we wanted to go back over these tips again. Three main steps. So you're going to send your ACT or SAT score from ACT or from College Board directly to the colleges you're applying to. And we will talk a little bit about that more in a minute, because obviously we had the pandemic and many schools are test optional now. But in general, we know that usually you're going to be sending an ACT or SAT score. You're also going to go online to the college website and submit an application. And then you're going to request your transcript, which is an overview of all your semester grades, including your senior year schedule. You're going to go through Parchment and send that transcript to each university. And then you're done. So I like this visual. And then I had this slide here just to kind of show a little bit more in depth, a couple other reminders. You complete your application online. So you go directly to the college's website, make sure you submit the application. And many schools have an application fee. If you happen to be on free or reduced lunch and you need some help with that or some kind of financial circumstance, make sure to reach out to your counselor. We will remind you of this again in the fall, but you're going to make an account at parchment.com and you're going to request your transcript to be sent to all the colleges that you're applying to. It'll include your senior year schedule. So usually these don't go out until a couple weeks after school starts. And then 3, make sure you send your ACT or SAT scores to the colleges directly from the testing agency. Remember that if you're signing up to take a test again, you can put in up to 4 colleges for free to receive your test scores, or you can wait until after and go back into your account and send them directly, but there's a fee. And then the next piece would be, you want to make sure, go look and see, is your college test optional? And what are your feelings on that? What is your pathway? Are you going to be submitting a test score to your university if your school is in fact test optional?
So thanks, Ms. Sorrentino, that was great. So what we tried to do was to research a few of the different schools that you all may be applying to and to see what their test optional policies are going to be. So we have a link to Michigan State and their policy, and then also OU and their policy, but really it's really going to be up to you to do your own individual research. Go to each college's website, do a little research and see what their policy is going to be, because it's going to be different for every single school. So just keep that in mind. And then even for those schools that are test optional, sometimes it's still a good idea to go ahead and send in a score. So like Ms. Sorrentino said, you just have to kind of figure out what pathway you're going to go through and make your decision based on what you think is best for you to do. So you all just took the SAT in April and have gotten your scores back. I know I've talked to a few students that are already planning to retake the SAT because they weren't pleased with their score. They just want to try to get a higher score. So here's some information on future dates for the SAT. The next SAT is going to be offered June 5th. However, the registration deadline has already passed, but I believe there's a late registration that you could still do, but there's going to be an additional fee to sign up after the registration deadline has passed. They're anticipating to offer another SAT August 28th. So you just have to kind of keep an eye on the College Board's website to see if that's still going to be a date that you can take it. You can also consider taking the ACT. The date to register for the June test is May 21st, which is in a couple days or may have already passed by the time you view this video. So just keep that in mind if you're considering taking an additional standardized test score. So when you should start your application, most of the applications are going to open up August 1st. Again, you want to double check with your specific college that you're applying to, just to kind of make sure you're not on the previous school year's application. So you want to make sure it's for the students entering college in the fall of 2022. So you're going to look at the different colleges' websites, but keep in mind for the most part, your applications are going to open up August 1st. So we always recommend for you to try to get as much work done over the summer before the school year starts, and you have to worry about doing homework and studying for classes. But this piece of your life, senior year, will kind of be done over the summer when you don't have other things to concentrate on. So one of the applications that you may need to use is the Common App. Honestly, I don't want to spend a ton of time on the Common App because every single student doesn't have to use it. I want to say the majority of students won't have to use it. Most colleges, even if they use the Common App, they'll give you another application that's actually easier and shorter to use. And so we always recommend those other applications. So like Michigan State, they use the Common App, but they also have their own school application that's a lot easier, a lot shorter to use. If you're applying to University of Michigan, you don't have a choice. You have to use the Common App. So for those students, yes, this is going to be one of those applications that you'll need to complete. It is a little bit more involved, so you'll need to get letters of recommendation. You'll need to write a few essays. So if you know that you're already planning to apply to University of Michigan, it may be a good idea to kind of have an idea of who those recommenders are going to be, because we're going to ask for you to invite the recommenders early in that application process, because we have to do a part of your application before it's considered complete. So this is just some information on where you go in the Common App to invite your recommenders. Your counselor has to be one of those recommenders, and then also any teachers that you plan to ask for a letter of recommendation. So again, this is just more detailed information about that if you have to use the Common App. So this is just going to be a resource that you can kind of go back to should you need it. But this summer, this spring and summer, there's going to be some different things that you can do to kind of get started. So for sure, try to explore some of those different resources that Ms. Sorrentino mentioned. If you're still unsure about what your career path might be after you graduate, try to go into some of those resources to see, how your personality aligns with the different careers and things like that. Try to finalize your college list. We usually recommend about 3 to 5 colleges that you apply to during your senior year. Definitely try to visit if possible. Most of the campuses are being a little bit more lenient with their college visit policy. So you should hopefully be able to actually get on a campus. If not, you can for sure take a virtual visit online to the college. Start to look for scholarships. You want to create a resume. If you're going to need a letter of recommendation, and again, most students will not. Again, it's just for if you have to use the Common App, then you're going to ask a teacher for a letter of recommendation. And most likely it's going to be the junior year teachers you have this year, because they just had you, that you're going to go back to and ask for a letter of recommendation. So it's probably a good idea to ask now before the school year gets out. I was walking through the hallway and I actually heard Ms. East talking that, right now a lot of her seniors are gone. So this is actually a good time for her to sit down and write some letters if you need one from her. Again, don't ask if you don't need it. And then just try to follow up in the fall to make sure that they were able to write that for you. Start to work on any essays if you have to write an essay for your college application. And then again, those applications are going to open up August 1st. So just trying to plan for that over the summer. Financing your college application is going to be a concern of yours. We highly, highly recommend that you start to look for different scholarships you might be eligible for. So these are just some different resources that we wanted to share. We have a ton of these same resources on our counselor page. So going to our counselor page will be a good resource for you. These are just some other links that we recommend for those students looking for scholarships. And I kind of touched on this already. If you need a letter of recommendation, you're going to go back to those teachers that you had a good relationship with, that you did well in their classes, provide them with a resume, because a lot of times teachers don't know all of the awesome things you're doing outside of their classroom. So if you're involved in any sports or community service projects and things like that, you want to include that on your resume and then provide that for the teacher that you're going to ask for a letter of recommendation. Try to give them enough time to complete it. So don't ask for it on a Wednesday. You need it by Friday. Try to give them a couple weeks to actually write you a good letter of recommendation. For the most part, most of the time you're going to upload those letters, or your teachers are going to upload those letters directly to your application. So the stamped envelope we kind of used previously, but for the most part, that shouldn't be one of those things that you'll have to worry about. But definitely follow up with a thank you. And if you get accepted, let your teacher know that their letter actually affected your college acceptance. But ask them now. Again, it's going to be probably these current junior year teachers that you have that you're going to go back to and ask for a letter of recommendation. So other things that you can try to do to connect with some college campuses, try to find out who the admissions advisor is. Again, most of that information is going to be posted online on the college's websites. You can sign up for different mailing lists, get different information through your email. Most colleges will have a Snapchat, an Instagram, a Twitter, Facebook, all of those different social media outlets. So you can find out a lot of information from current students that way as well. Try to find different webcasts that you can hear from, or just to take a virtual tour, or actually an in-person tour. Again, a lot of colleges will still be providing those opportunities to you. So the virtual college visits, these are just some different questions that you can ask if you're actually able to get on campus. And you really want to think about, like Ms. Sorrentino mentioned, this is going to be a huge investment, both in money and in your time. So you want to make sure that it's a good fit for you, and you're just not going to a college that everybody goes to, but that personally it fits what you want to do for your career, the type of environment you want to spend the next 4 years in. And I always say, like, this is the first time in your life you actually get to choose what school you go to. Your elementary school was dictated to you, your middle school was dictated to you, your high school. I mean, even though this high school is great, we love Rochester High School, but now you get to actually choose what college you go to. So you really want to make sure that you're being thoughtful about that and making sure that it's a good fit for you. And that's going to wrap up our presentation. So let us know if you have any questions. We're going to stick around for any questions that you may have. Always email your counselors if you have any additional questions, but we'll entertain questions if you have it.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Kagans. And guys, remember that in the fall, we'll do another presentation right away to go back over all the steps and to help answer questions. So you'll definitely be supported. We just wanted to make sure we got this info out for those of you that want to get rolling sooner than later, and make sure that you had an opportunity to think about that and get started if you wanted to. Thanks so much. I hope you guys take care.